This interview was carried out as part of my video, The Indie Dev Cheat Code, about the double threat approach of being an indie developer and a content creator together. If you find this video interesting, be sure to check out the main video and the other interviews. And of course, show the devs some love. They earned it. Right, so first question is, do you make a point of carving out time to make content? In this, like I said, in this case, this could include your Twitch stream, but also making YouTube videos, anything like that. Do you make a point of making time for that?
So originally, yes. When I started, there was a point where I made sure to spend time like in the afternoon. So I stream in the morning, right? And I make the game. And I made sure that I would work on the game in the morning while I stream. And in the afternoon, I would develop stuff like the overlay or do posts on either YouTube or different platforms. But as the game was going closer and closer to release or closer and closer to demos and stuff like that, then the time for that amount of work was getting cut out, basically. So everything was being pushed to be on the game instead of the content creation. But I'm kind of like excited to get back into the loop of doing some content creation at the same time as doing prototype and stuff.
Cool. Do you put thought into any kind of like, I say brand, but when I say brand, I just mean like the image that you put out there. Do you think I don't want to be associated with this, or I don't want to say this, or do you just turn the camera on and be yourself and not worry about it?
I generally just try to be genuine. I just try to push forward my ideas and my beliefs and my values. In terms of brand, the only branding is like the fool idea, like me being a fool and not like knowing necessarily what I'm doing and just pushing that forward and making sure that people understand that I'm not always understanding what I'm doing and that it's okay and that people can do that too, you know? Like it's a for me it was really motivation to like start streaming and an accountability. So trying to push that idea and being comfortable with the idea that I don't know thing became like super comfortable. And I think a lot of people are rolling with it. So I want to push that brand forward. So yeah.
So some YouTubers, Twitch streamers, whatever content creators you want to think of, go through like a script writing process, or they go into a stream knowing this is what I want to do this stream kind of thing. Do you pre-plan content, or is it just a case of hit stream and away we go?
I'm I'm pretty much uh I go improv most of the time. I know some of the tasks I want to work on. Like if I have like a couple of bugs I want to fix, or if there's a new system I want to work on, or something like that during the stream. But generally, that kind of like gets thrown out the window pretty quickly when we start streaming because nothing works and nothing goes like you plan it to go, right? So we need to like kind of like switch it up, find other tasks that would work. Like you know how it goes. Sometimes you start the overlay and everything breaks, and you need to like just figure it out on the fly, restart things, and find another way to be kind of like entertaining, or else people will just leave. So there needs to be like a constant stream of interest, if can say it like that. Um, and for me, that is just like on the spot kind of thing. Um, that's how it works for me.
So do you see the different platforms as completely distinct? So the way I've been explaining this question is, for example, you can make a clip on, in your case, you can make a clip on Twitch, and then you can take that clip very easily from Twitch and put it on YouTube as a short, and then you can take a short and put it on TikTok as a TikTok, etc. Do you think of the platforms as different? Like, do you think this needs to be different to go on YouTube because it's a different platform? Or is it just a case of here's a short form vertical format video? I'm going to put it in all these places where they do short form vertical format videos.
So I've tried to push some of the
Sorry.
clips to YouTube and TikTok. So I've had a couple of good clips on Twitch that I've tried to like download, add like caption everything to make it more like lively and everything, and make sure that like it fits in the content of Shorts and TikTok. And I've tried to post like a good, I would say like a good 30 of them at like a regular interval. I try to be, for me, it's always a question of being regular with things. I think that's how you get a lot of viewer and a lot of interaction, is that you need to post on a regular basis, right? You can't like just drop a ton of thing and then like expect that all of a sudden it will work and then you don't have anything anymore, and you can't do it the other way around. You can't just sporadically post stuff and then expect it to work, right? So I tried to like make a schedule for it and then post at a regular interval. And my result was really not great, actually. Like, it didn't work at all. It didn't raise attention, it didn't engage, there was nothing. So for me, I think there is something about the two of them being very different. And maybe since I invest most of my time on Twitch, I don't understand how Shorts and TikTok work necessarily. And I would need to deep dive more into like what is engagement on those platforms to be able to do that kind of like retention.
Okay. Do you try and take advantage of trends at all? So in the context of Twitch, this might be a popular game that's coming out. I might play that on stream today, or on TikTok, there's all manner of trends that make no sense to me as an old person, but you know what I mean.
So on Twitch, I basically just code. Like, I code, I make the game, I do game jam. There's not really any trend that I follow. The only trend would be participating into game jams that are popular. Like, if like there's a big game jam, like Bracky's Jam, or TMTK,
Yeah,
Toolmaker
GMTK. Yeah.
Toolkit, JMTK, or Beeg's Jam, you know, then I might participate in those.
Oh, thank you for
But
that.
but
That's getting in the
I
video.
but I don't think I do like new games that come out or stuff like that. Or the only trends maybe will be more on Blue Sky. Like, if I post thing on Blue Sky and there's like some of those trends, sometime of like my game in 15 seconds, or like just like post of like what the game used to be and what it is now, stuff like that, I will engage a little bit more because it's more social and like it attracts conversation. But for Twitch itself, I don't think so. I just do what I want, and I play the game I want with the people that I find cool on the platform, and that's enough for me, and it works for me. So
By the way, Blue Sky, Twitter, that kind of thing, they count in the whole content creator umbrella.
yep.
So like, so I would have counted Blue Sky as one of the trend places. So anyone who's on YouTube or Twitch or any platform, anyone who's on the internet is aware of how negative it can be from time to time. Do you have like a strategy for dealing with negative actors, like bad actors, that kind of thing, or bad comments on YouTube, bad people in Twitch chat, that kind of thing?
On YouTube, I've never had anything. For the shorts that I've posted and stuff like that, I've never had any bad comment. For the most of marketing I did on Reddit and other platform like that, people seems to be pretty respectful. I don't know if it's because I'm a solo dev and I present myself as an indie solo dev, and then maybe people are more respectful of that, but generally it's okay. There's sometimes those weird comment that seems to be like just at the edge, you know, of like, do you mean something bad, or like, are you just unaware of what you're saying, you know? Um, so on those platforms, I think it's fine for me so far. Twitch is the only place where sometimes it's kind of weird. You get like weird people that just come in and start just like bashing either people or your work or you as a person, and then you just ban them. It's gone, and you don't really think about it. Sometime it brings interesting conversation because we talk about what they just talk and stuff like that, and then it kind of like brings the community a little bit together because they all don't agree with what that person just did. So it's not necessarily, it's kind of a weird bad thing that we turn into a good thing. Um, but it never really affected me in a way that like I can't sleep about it or anything like that. So
That's good. So on that note, what would you say the hardest part about being a content creator is? In, like I say, in content creator, including anything that you think of as content creation, including streaming.
um, sometimes it's showing up, like just the act of starting streaming. Like I love streaming. I love being on there and interacting with the people and everything, and it brings me like energy and like I just love it. But sometimes the moment before you start, just convincing yourself that like you need to do it. It's kind of like a job a little bit of like you're there, you need to do it, you need to be present, you need to like if a morning you don't really want to do it, you could not do it, but there are like repercussion to not doing it, right? Like so I keep that in mind sometime. It's a little bit like going to the gym. Like the hardest is to get there. Everything else for me, like in my head, is a bonus. So that's how I try to think about it sometime when it's hard. But generally it's kind of okay.
Okay, so it's the last of the content creator questions. If you could only improve one thing about the content creation side of your, well, we'll say business, but like whatever you think of it, what would it be? You could only improve if you could only improve one thing.
Um, probably the social management of side. I think the content itself is good and interesting. The only thing I struggle with is to keep the social up in a way that's interesting, like keeping the Discord active, keeping post on a steady in a steady manner in all the places that it should go out on. Like all of that is for me the part that's like difficult. Showing up and doing the thing is easy. It's really like reminding people that the thing is there that's hard. So
Okay, so on to the indie dev questions. How important would you say technical ability is for somebody who wants to be a game developer? Specifically an indie game developer, sorry. All these questions are specifically indie dev.
for starting or
Yeah.
for somebody that has experience?
No, for just for somebody who wants to get into indie dev, like whatever the background, how important would you say technical ability is?
Technical ability of coding, I would say, is not necessarily super important, in my opinion. Like it's a big learning experience. Like I come from a technical background, but not in coding. I come from like a mechanical engineering, so I did learn to like problem solve and things like that. But I learned to code way later in my life, and I learned to draw way later in my life, and I still don't know how to draw. I draw like a programmer. I draw like a not like an artist. I draw like a designer or like somebody like that. And I don't think it's that important. I think the important part is to make things and try to see if people engage with it. As long as people engage with something that you make and find something in it, they have fun, they have like, even if they don't like it, like if they hate it, like hating something is like it's a strong emotion too, you know, like it's like as long as people are not indifferent about it, I think you're doing something right somehow. So I yeah, just continue doing that, and eventually you'll get the skills from doing more and more of it if you're really passionate about it.
Okay. So there's plenty of fairy tale stories like Five Nights at Freddy's, Among Us, Balatro. They're the examples I wrote down. Do you think games like this create an unhealthy, unrealistic expectation for new indie devs, or are they just good aspirational things to be out there to inspire people, or anything in
um
between?
I think it's a little bit in between. I think it's a nice inspiration to be able to see that Um, it's possible that it's a possibility that it exists, and um, there's a chance, but it's like winning the lottery when we talk about those kind of game, right? Like it shouldn't be the main factor for why you want to move forward into that industry. Like you don't buy, well, you buy a lottery ticket expecting to win, but like you shouldn't quit your job and expect that if you put your salary into the lottery ticket it's going to work, right? You need to have more of a strategy, I would say, about it. And you can learn from them, but you shouldn't expect that the result will be the same. It's a hard industry. It takes time. It takes effort. It takes failure. It takes a lot of failure, and learning comes from that, right? If you fail a lot of time, then you'll know next time what works, right? Um, there's good example of that in the industry. Like there's I think one of the game that we take as an example for that is how's it called? It kind of like eludes me right now. The big one with the you're on a planet and you escape from things with your friends. It's kind of like
Victoria?
Phasmophobia, but like in space. No,
Um, I don't know. I've never played Phasmatopia. Sorry. Um,
it's okay. I'm supposed
is
to
it the
be an
one where you
expert
slice
about
things up?
game. No, it's fine. It's fine. I wanted to prove my point, but it's okay. But that game, what I wanted to say was basically that that specific game, the person that made it made a ton of game before making that game and having success with it, right? Like it wasn't their first game. It was like their 10th game or something like that. And the first game they released was horrible. It was horrendous. Like it's normal. You have the same thing for like Doom. Like people praise Doom as being like one of the big game of the time, but like um his name eludes me again. John Carpenter, right?
John
Is it that?
Carmack.
Carmack. Um he he made like ton of game before making this game. Like it wasn't his first hit. Like it's not that's not that I think that's what people need to remember. And making a first game, it will fail and it's okay. That's it.
Okay.
That was a long
So
answer.
it's fine. To be honest, you've been flying through these questions. I hope you're not keeping it short on purpose because of what I said before. And like, if this is the
Oh.
length of the question that you want to answer, that's perfectly fine. I don't want you to feel rushed though. So if money stopped being a concern, like if you didn't have to worry about funding your game or paying your bills, anything like that, how different would your game development endeavors look tomorrow? Like, would you go off hire a bunch of people? Would you just go, well, I don't need to do this anymore and pack in the game dev altogether? Like, what would you change if you didn't have to worry about money?
Um I would probably go and hire like probably one artist and one person that can do music. Um to make sure that like those areas are covered properly. I already have people in mind actually that I've met through community and other areas of my life. And then I would hire people that know how to code better than I do. And I would make sure that I can learn from them because coding is still something that I really, really enjoy. And I want to be able to do it as a mix of designer and development. But I do need to have some people in my life to be able to learn from them. Because I'm good at learning by myself, but there's some things that you can't really learn by yourself. You learn either through failing again, or you learn from the mistake that people have made before you, right? So having somebody that's more experienced with the engine that I'm using, or that has more experience with like that failed a bunch of times in a lot of the areas I want to develop in would be great. It would be nice to be able to have that. I'm more able to lead project because that's something I've done in my previous life. So having these kind of people around me would be something that I'm relatively comfortable with. So um, I could like, yeah, I think that that's what would I would do. Um, I wouldn't go crazy and then have a huge studio or anything. It would still stay pretty small and personal and creating things that are not necessarily for profit, but more for sharing love about video game, right? So
Do you? So a lot of people think of creative and technical things as two different things. I know there's a, I believe it's a myth. I don't think it's. I think it was debunked, but there was the whole thing about the left and right side of the brain and all that kind of thing. Whether or not it's a myth is kind of irrelevant. Sorry. Um, Most people see creative and technical things as two different things, two different modes, so to speak. Do you find it hard to switch between these two modes? Like if you have to go into art mode or story writing mode or music mode or whatever it is that you like. I don't know how much of. Do you do the music on Blockshop?
I direct the music, so I
Right. Okay.
helped like kind of like give the feel and direct the music. We had like different like sketch, and then I decide on which sketch more makes more sense, and then we go in that direction basically.
So,
Um,
sorry, I'm leading you on a tangent
yeah.
now. So, yeah, do you find it difficult to switch between coding and directing music, or coding and artwork and stuff like that?
Um, I think it depends on how I feel on that day. So sometimes I need to be very technical about like fixing bugs and implementing new feature. Like if there's a release or a demo coming up, or like an event, like a playtesting event at like a somewhere in person, and I need to make sure that everything is working, then I need to be more in like technical mode to be able to do all those things. And if I'm not in the right headspace at that specific moment, then it's gonna be very very hard. And the same thing applies when I just want to like chill and do pixel art and just like try to like place pixel here and there and see what happened, right? Like if I'm in a more technical mood on that day, like if I'm just thinking about how I'm going to make my save system for I don't know what reason, then it's not going to work. Like it's going to be a weird experience. So I don't think like switching between the two is not really, I don't know if it's a thing. I don't know if like I can actually switch between, like it's just that you need to use one or the other in certain task, and then it's just you go with the task that you have, and you hope that at that moment you'll have the correct mindset, and if you don't, it's kind of okay. You can switch to a different task and come back later if you feel like it. Sometimes you can't, but generally you, if you have like good management skill to be able to have like multiple tasks lined up and kind of like an idea of where you're going, um, you can move back and forth into task. I think that's more the answer. Like it's not switching between the technical and creative, it's more lining up your task so that it fits with how you are at that specific moment, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think you're the first person to give that answer actually for that one, so that's good. Looking, I was it's kind of balancing like on this whole interview. I've been trying to balance like one, not getting the same answer out of everyone, but
Yeah.
two, not getting completely wildly different concepts either, because otherwise it's going to be hard to make one cohesive message out of the video. But yeah, so
Yeah.
far it's worked out quite well. So, what is the hardest? The last indie developer only question. What is the hardest part about being an indie game developer, in your opinion?
Uh, that would be reach, I think, for me. Um, Being able to get things out there and seen in a way that is not too, like I don't want to go like all guerrilla marketing on my game and on my release and my ideas, right? Like I don't want to go crazy and post everywhere and do like ads that are like, have you played this puzzle game? Do you know how to solve this? Like I'm not interested in doing that, and I think people know that I'm not interested in doing that. And I like part of my part of my marketing in a way comes from there. People know that, and they value that I'm not like that, and they come to stream and they enjoy just like talking about stuff. But the game still needs to be seen, and the stream still needs to be seen. And for me, how you push those things to be able to like make those things seen is probably the hardest part for me. I don't want to. I don't want to force my content into anyone's throat. You know, like I want people that are there because they enjoy being there. I want I want the marketing that I get to not be much marketing, but more be like word of mouth kind of thing, like people talking about it and finding it organically, and eventually coming on stream, learning about the game, like being developed like that. I don't want to push stuff too much. Like there needs to be a little bit, and I'm starting to like find where that line that I'm comfortable with is. But it's a very long process for me. So yeah, I think that's what I have the most trouble with personally.
Okay. So onto the combo question. So this is about both indie dev and content creator as a package.
Mhm.
So was the decision to be a indie dev and a content creator, were they two separate decisions for you, or was it I'm going to be an indie dev who streams? Or like did you do them? Did you come at these conclusions separately?
So, like I said a little earlier, the reason why I started streaming in the beginning was for accountability. So I started streaming just because I had project, and I wanted to be sure that I would stream. I mean, let's say every 2 days or 3 times a week, I would spend 2 hours, 3 hours on stream working on my project. Right. I wanted it as a way to like just be like, I'm there and it's locked in my calendar and I'm there. I have the calendar on stream, it's there. And if people start joining and they start being there in the conversation, then there will be someone that's waiting for me to just continue on my project, and they'll ask question about it, and they'll just like they'll hold me accountable for like, did you finish that project, or how is it going, like are things progressing properly, all those questions, right? So for me, that's how it started. I never planned on actually having that many people on my stream, and I still don't really understand why there's so many people that come every morning. And I'm just still kind of like baffled by what's happening, because I don't think that was the goal. That the Like I said, the goal was just make things and see what happened. But I kind of became really attached to some of the people that come on stream and follow the project and follow my things and how it's going, the process of becoming indie, the process of like starting my own business, the process of like going to like play test event and releasing a game and going to like Comic-Con and all those things. People got really interested by all of that, and it's a nice feeling, right? And I wanted to continue for those people and continue for the game and for myself. And I don't know, it just kind of like happened. I can't really explain it, to be honest.
Fair enough. So do you see one now that you're in underway, now that you are an indie game developer and a content creator, do you see them as a means to the other? So like if you, the way I've been couching this question as an explanation is if you had to stop one tomorrow, either streaming or game dev, I know you wouldn't, but like just say for some reason you had to, would you continue doing the other one? Or are they kind of like a package deal? If you stopped one, you would probably stop the other.
Um, I would definitely continue game dev. This is the whole reason. Like I went back to school because I wanted to do game dev, right? Like this is one of the reasons why I quit my previous jobs. It was specifically for game dev. Um, the content creation side, Twitch side became really important for me. And I do think there is a lot of like things that can make it work together really well. But for me, it's like if I got a job in a studio or like an indie company like tomorrow, then streaming would like become like a side thing, unfortunately for me. But I would also try to push it so that like, can we, can we develop the game on stream? Because they are very dependent on each other, I think. And in the current way things are being pushed on the internet and how games are being marketed and all of that, people are interested in seeing what's happening behind the curtain and behind the doors, and they want to see what happened. They want more transparency on things, right? um, and I think a small indie company could leverage that in a very smart way. If you have like one of your dev that does streaming and brings people and like work with other devs from other studio that like they do collab and work together in a certain way, it can bring some sense of community before you release your game that can be very interesting, right? So it's kind of a weird and difficult question because I think they're like I
You're
would do
welcome.
game dev. I would do game dev because that's what I like, but I see a lot of the value into content creation, at least on the Twitch side for me.
Just as a quick, like, just to button that question off. So, if you had
Yep.
to stop game dev, would you continue streaming though? You sort of answered it one way, but not the other way.
I don't know. I've never been like a variety streamer. Like I don't really stream games and stuff like that. I do when there's like special events. So I don't know if I would actually like it or not. I don't know if it's for me.
That's fine.
For me, it's yeah,
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 sorry, you didn't have to have. If you don't have a different, I want honest answers. They don't have to.
yeah.
You're not always going to know a definite yes or no. So, how much, if at all, do you find that content creation and game development, indie game development, creates a kind of feedback loop? So, like for example, somebody comes to your stream, sees you developing your game, goes and wishlists it. Do you see like a reverse of that, where people find the game on Steam or on social media or whatever, and then find their way to your stream from that?
Yeah, I do find both of those things happen. People come on the stream, they find the game, they wishlist it or they buy it. The other way around, they find my Twitch, not my Twitch, my itch, right? They find the game on Steam, and then they're like, "Hey, I just played it. I played the demo. It's really nice. I'm really happy, and I bought the game, and you do an amazing job, right?" I also get people from other stream, right? Like it's not just people finding my stream or people finding the Steam page. It's also just people on others people stream being recommended to like come in my stream and show up because I use Godot. I can help people develop in Godot if they have like question or anything. So like it comes from like a stream of different places, a lot of different places, and that's something you build with time. I think it's like having everything kind of like interconnected a little bit so that it's easier for people to find you and it's easier for people to recommend your stuff because they know you, they know you're a good person, they know you're nice to hang out with and talk, and you're gonna answer their question, and like it's building a reputation pretty slowly and make it strong and reliable. Yeah.
So, what would you say the biggest challenges are when using content creation as a? I've been saying like a funding model, but that's not really what I'm asking. As a way of helping the indie game. So, like, however you think that is, marketing, for example, is the most obvious one. Like, you do a stream, people come and see your stream, and they see your game. But like, also, if you do make any money from content creation, does that money go into the game? And like, if however you're using it, what would you say the biggest challenge is using content creation to help your game?
Um, that's a good one.
Thank you.
I'm 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 not sh- I'm not sure actually. Um, to me, like the the money that I make either from the game or for Twitch will be used to make more Twitch and or game, right? Like it's like those things in my head now are together, right? Um, like I'm thinking of getting a new microphone. I'm thinking of getting like new things for getting better, like a better new computer, new things like that. It's gonna be good for the game dev, but it's also gonna be good for the stream, right? Like it's always this those two things exist together now in my head because one couldn't have existed without the other. The only reason why I'm here now at this point is because I had game dev and I had streaming. So it's hard for me to differentiate these two things and say that there's like something that makes it hard. Like the only thing that I would say Twitch makes it hard for game dev is focus. It's sometime you just want to like do something else, right? And you don't want to work on new things, and that's okay when you're like just working in front of your computer and you can just like find ways and tricks to like put music on the side or like get back into like a certain state of flow, or like you tell yourself that you're gonna fix some of those bugs and then go eat some cookies. I don't know, like there's tricks that you can use, but when you have like a distraction of a chat that's always there and is like it it's gonna be there, you could ignore it, right? But that's not the kind of like ambience that I want to develop on my stream. So having this easy escape when you are not focused on working is probably one of the hardest thing, of being like, let's just do something else. Let's just like be stupid. Let's just like talk about anything except then the problem that we actually have to like solve right now. But at the same time, I think it might also be helpful in some way because sometimes you need that moment of like disconnecting from yourself and from your task to be able to come back on those tasks and actually solve them. If there's a distraction, if there's like a, a there might be a reason why you're not being able to focus on that task at that specific moment. It's because you don't know the answer, and having this friendly conversation with like a random people will help sometime just put things in perspective and move forward, you know?
Yeah.
So
So if you were starting from scratch right now, like so you haven't got a game, you haven't got like any funds or anything saved up to make a game, and you're starting completely from scratch, but you could click your fingers and you could have any potential funding model fund your game. So we're talking, you could be using content creation, you could be suddenly a big popular Twitch streamer who's making all the money, or a YouTuber who's making all the money. You could have a publisher overnight. You could have a successful crowdfunding campaign. Any potential method of funding your game, but you can only pick one. What would you choose?
I would probably be happy with a model similar to what Sock Pop did or Pancake Delicieux. Having something where you have a Patreon and people pay a certain amount per game or per month. I don't remember. Like I think those two work differently, and then you just make a small games. You make like, I don't know, 2 games per year. You make 3 games per year, but you work on making sure that you have a core system that can be easily like placed into any kind of game, and you can like place the base structure of a game very quickly, and then you can like just spit out games that are interesting, like creatively, or like the design of them, um, and just like having those people that you know will appreciate those games and will give you like kind of like a relatively stable revenue stream for that. I think that's what I would like to go with if I had the choice. That's what I would do, I think.
It's kind of crowdfunding, but not quite the crowdfunding I was expecting. So that's good.
Yeah.
Sorry, we've got two questions left, but there is just I've just realised I didn't ask one from earlier. So if you don't mind, I'd just like to go back and get that question out of you. Um, how do you think having a this is an indie dev specific question? Do you think having a completely unique, never been done before idea is important or even possible at this point?
Um, that's kind of a tricky question because if you have something that's never been done before, like what do you associate it with, right? What do you compare it with? Because like in marketing, you do need to have some form of my game is this, but if this was different, right? Or think about this game, but like all of a sudden it's not zombies, it's like plants. I don't know anything, right?
Or plants and
And if you
zombies against each
if
other?
you if you don't have that, if you have like something completely new and you try to like push that, um, I don't think people can necessarily understand right away, and it can be kind of hard to market in some way. And also, I don't think it's that important. I think what you need to do more focusing on is maybe um, either doing something that you know work in this current moment. Maybe if there's a new game that came out and they seem to be interesting, and I'm not saying to copy a game like that. I'm saying maybe take some of the idea, try to find out what worked, and try to do it as good as you can. And I think this would have way more chance of having success um, in the indie game community or like the gaming community, or finding your own twist on something that's already been done. Like all the games that are successful that follow trends, that's what they do. They don't copy the trends exactly. Like if you take like um, uh, things of torment, uh, Halls of Torment, right? They didn't copy Vampire Survivor. They made a Vampire Survivor like with a completely different twist on it. If you just make Vampire Survivor, you're not gonna you're not gonna have a good success with that. I think what you need to do is grab that game and kind of like deconstruct it and reconstruct it in a completely different way so that people are interested by this new variant of it. um, so yeah.
Thank you for that. I don't know how I managed to remember that I missed that question, but it just occurred to me that I never asked it. So this one's open ended, so you can apply whatever caveats you want to it, like if this, if that, only this, whatever. If somebody wants to be a game developer, an indie game developer specifically, should they, in your opinion?
uh, yeah, yeah, I think so. Like I don't see why you shouldn't, right? Like if it's what you want to do, even if you don't think you have talent for it, if you don't think you know how to do things, that's I think that's kind of like secondary in some way. Like no one is good at things from the get-go. That's why we fail at things. That's why we try things. Like no one, like there, we are getting a little skewed sometime with the internet and social media, and I keep thinking about that, and I try not to get too like focused on that sometime because it's easy to get like a wrong idea of how people get success, right? You think people just like woke up one morning and they were good at things. That's not how it works. So if you want to do things and like you're serious about it and you want to learn how to do things, um, I think you should just do it, right? Because it's like you have only one life, and there's not going to be another chance to be doing like the things you want to do, right? For me, the wake up call was kind of like COVID. At some point I was in a company where I wasn't really happy, and I was not doing the things that I expected to be doing at that moment and at that time. And it just made me realize that that's not what I wanted to do. I wanted to like try more and try something that was actually something that was important for me. So yeah, I yeah, people should just try to do it. If it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. But at least you can say that you've
Hello.
tried. Hello. But yeah, if it doesn't work, if it works out, it works out. If it doesn't works out, well, then at least you can say you tried, right? So
Good
yeah.
answer. Thank you. So final question. This one's like I'm looking for a short answer by design. So like just keep it to like one sentence kind of thing. If you could give one short piece of advice to an aspiring game developer / content creator, somebody who's planning on doing both, what would that short piece of advice be? This is going to like sort of get all of the answers are going to get sort of stacked together at the end of the video. So it needs to be like a sentence kind of thing.
Yeah, just try to be genuine to who you are and the value you have, I think.
Sorry, you look like you were expecting something more then. I mean, you can elaborate if you want, but I'll
Well,
only
I
be
mean,
using
you
that
said a
sentence.
short sentence.
Yeah. No,
I don't know how short you were
you
saying.
just looked a bit lost there, but yeah, no, that it's gonna be like all stacked together at the end. That last answer is gonna be like the end of the video kind of thing. Everybody's answer back to back sort of thing. But no, that was a good answer, and that is all of them. The video game industry is currently the most lucrative entertainment market, and it's not even close. The independent video game industry alone is worth around $5 billion, and is expected to double over the next 5 years.
There's just like all this insane shit over the last like 5-6 years. I don't know, dude. My life's completely different now. It's a completely different time.
And I was always interested in games. I just never really thought that I could do it. I didn't think I was smart enough. I thought it would be too competitive for me to get into.
There was a lot of those conversations, and me and the co-dev that was working on 10 Bells, we realized very quickly, like, oh, like we don't have this money. So
I used to kind of like try and troll them back, kind of, or you know, just give them just bad information and try and play with them a little bit. But I found that is actually detrimental.
Instantly, like I think the first day I streamed game development, 2 people came into my chat and they were like, "Shut the hell up, you stupid B word! You're not a real coder. Go make me a sandwich." And I was like, "Bruh."
It's possible that it's a possibility that it exists, and there is a chance, but it's like winning the lottery when we talk about those kind of games.
It does take a toll a little bit on your ego when you have to hear that over and over again. Like,
you're probably just using the whole "I make games for me" thing as an excuse to avoid having to face the prospect of failing. So maybe you should stop fannying about and get on with it, Biggs.